circumstances, adversity, we were built for those things. We were built to mourn, to experience hurt, and to heal.
We should call it holidays and beyond.
No.
Okay. Maybe break that down for the ones who had to Google what that meant.
Welcome to the Better Mind Podcast, powered by Nestry, with Dr. Tommy Shavers and me, Chloe DeLuca. Welcome to our first ever series. This episode is the first episode of a 4-part podcast series about the concept of being human. Sounds simple, but we are such behavioral beings, and there is so much to explore about the way in which our minds process the world. As always, come curious and leave reframed, and let's dive in to the first episode of our first ever series on the Better Mind Podcast. Right now. The information being presented is not meant to replace the advice from a licensed medical doctor and should not be used to treat or diagnose any medical conditions. This podcast makes no medical claims. All health-related tips are for teaching and informational purposes only.
Welcome back.
Great to be back.
It is.
How are you?
I'm just in bliss. How have you been, Tom?
I've been great.
Yeah?
I've been great.
I feel like this conversation today is going to be really good.
I'm looking forward to.
Well, you picked it.
Yeah. Which is probably why I'm looking forward to it. I had a chance to pick something, so I'm so excited about this.
This conversation is very Tommy-esque.
Wow.
It's all about human behavior.
Look, we're going into holiday season. Time to
holiday series.
Reflect.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it'd be a great opportunity to do a little deeper dive on
the study of why humans are the way that they are.
On us.
In a time where humans are the most human, which is holidays.
Yes. What better time than talking about us than now?
Than the holidays.
Than the holidays.
We want to prep you for this holiday season with insight, understanding, and a cheat code on how to process people that you're encountering during this holiday season and beyond. This is not a holiday series.
No, but it's a good time, to have a little more deep reflection, thought, to kind of prepare you for going into the new year.
Yeah. So in regards to this conversation, our first episode, we're discussing, this is a 4-part series, if you didn't get it from the intro. But this first episode is around the foundation, the fundamentals of what existing means, like what it means to exist as a human, which when I first kind of read it, I was like, that seems really packed. What does that mean to exist? Like existing, sometimes I think about molecules, I think about atoms, I think about this table existing as a table, and how sad he probably gets when the lights turn off and then everyone goes home and it's just him.
That sounds more like The Secret Lives of Tables.
But it's existing.
It is, but in a different way. It's existing because we recognize it as being material reality.
So in order for it to exist, humans have to acknowledge it as existing.
Yeah, we're going to take existing from the framework of a human, right? And so,
correct.
So what does it mean to exist or to be? I mean, it's what you were just talking about. In a simple way, it's to be here, to be real, reality, and it sounds kind of more out there. I can tell you in my doctoral studies, the classes I disliked the most were the ones that were so much theory that I was just like, okay, come back down to earth so we can practically do something with it.
Right. Which we all, I think, desire. No one really likes the surface, the practicalities, the what ifs.
But some people live in the in the things are so out there. They just love to stay out there. But I do think there's some value in this idea of starting with this foundation. We're talking about being, right? What does it mean to be human?
To be,
right? At its base foundation, it is to exist. It means to be here.
To be like me sitting in this table at the Nona Studios, sitting
in this present moment, right? It means that we have life. We're here. And I think it's a great place to start because, when you build from that, it'll start to make more sense. And what I mean by that is, so we talk about existing, right? And if you understand the first, it helps us to appreciate the latter. The foundation of this series is going to help us build upon where we go, right? From starting with existing, then moving to essence, then moving to extension, and then moving to epilogue. Like really looking at, being human in this building block space that gives us some understanding of how we're to move through the world with intentionality. But even at the definition, it does the same building block for us. So for example, when you think about the concept of, or the science around homeostasis, right? And
I don't, for maybe maybe break that down for the ones who had to Google what that meant.
so after I just Googled homeostasis, I did not, but in a simple way, it's our body's internal dynamic nature of keeping a stable state. In other words, it's the work that our internal body does to keep us alive, to adapt to all of the external things that go on in our environment. And so body temperature is an example of that. Our body stays at a typical constant temperature. And if our external environment gets too hot, what do?
We sweat.
We sweat, right? That's the response to keeping the temperature consistent.
Mm-hmm.
If it's cold out, what does our body do when it get really cold?
We shiver.
We shiver. That's the body's response to keeping this constant state internally as much as it can at that stable temperature, because that homeostasis is what allows us to continue to exist, to live.
Homeostasis is the science of keeping our bodies regulated.
Yes, to keep us in this consistent, stable state in order for us to live. If our body temperature gets too high, it's a problem. Mm-hmm. If it gets too low, it's a problem. Same thing with our blood sugar, mm-hmm. right? But you don't walk around having to
constantly think about it.
Adapt your internal temperature, mm-hmm. like the thermostat in your house.
Right.
Right? Mm-hmm. It does it on its own, by its own, on itself. It's automatic or autonomic. So it's an unconscious state of existing. It's built in, right? But then there's the second type of existing, which is this conscious existing, the intentional piece, the things that we have to do. That's our being present. That's our thinking, our processing. We were made with this unconscious ability to exist in order to provide us with the opportunity to consciously exist. We were built with an already built-in capacity to live. We were made to live. We have this internal operating that was created for us to do something more.
Than what?
Than just being. It would be pointless for something as complex, beautiful, and amazingly designed to be functioning of just being.
That's interesting, because a lot of people nowadays, they'll say just be. I think I've even said that to myself, just be first. Like, just be present, be here in this moment in time right now. Being is literally just like, I'm here. Like, I'm sitting here, I'm breathing. But you're saying that because human design is so complex and so unique to each person, that our bodies were way more equipped and ready and created to do more than just be here, be present, and get through the day.
Absolutely. So I think what you're talking about is our attempt to minimize the overwhelmed nature of the demands of doing life.
Is to literally respond by saying, just be.
Right. What I'm saying is there is, at a base level, this concept of existing. What we say is being, it's already built in.
It's not what we say it is.
Right. It's already built in. That part's already.
Because we're being every day when we breathe.
What we're really talking about is this conscious, intentional existing. Mm-hmm. And in that first part of that is what you're talking about, is being present, is thinking, experiencing the world and processing. But that still has to be done with intentionality. And then there's the next level of it, which is living, the actionable piece that comes with that. Mm. But the part that, I want to emphasize is, if all you're doing is just being, then we're doing a disservice to the beauty of how we were created as humans.
So when you say being, like if all you're doing is just being, are we talking about like jobs? Are we talking about pursuit of goals? Are we talking about like the tangible things that keep our minds going? Or like what qualifies the state of being in order to take advantage of our uniquely awesome, dope bodies that have been created in the way in which they have?
Yeah, so if you look at being as a state, right? Being or life as a state. And then you look at doing or living as an action. What I'm saying is the state is the baseline. The state is the baseline. We were fundamentally equipped to do more, to live, explore, create, love, right? Grow, experience. The foundation of who we are was built for us to move beyond that, to not just be here. And the reason I'm saying it is because a lot of people are struggling. They struggle with this idea, with this concept of I'm not good enough, or I'm just trying to make it in this world, or I just got to get through. I just got to get by. No, we were not made as humans to live that way. Get by. It's already built in. I want us to think about, like, we don't think about all the things that our body does as humans, for us to be here in the moment, to exist.
So you're saying we need a better grasp of like the complexities of how we were made in order to like really grasp the fact that the truth that we were created to be so much more than just here.
Absolutely. Here is the baseline.
Yeah.
And I think the answer, it's more of an appreciation.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
I want us to, listeners, to appreciate the fact that if you're here, your personal humanity is doing a ton of work in order for you to just be here. And so if we can appreciate that and start to understand that, no, we were made for this moment. We were made for more. We were made to live. Circumstances, adversity, we were built for those things. We were built to mourn, to experience hurt, and to heal. We have built-in healing properties, right? We were built to not just have life, but to live life. Having life is the baseline. Living life is the expectation. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and you're making me think about, just like when we're born into this world, we're born into things that, not everyone can control. And I think about, living life looks different for everyone. Some people living life is climbing Mount Everest and doing something super ambitious, but living life for someone also may mean just to speak positively to themselves and be very aware of how they are with people. And it's less about an action and living life like that, and more about just being who you are and who you were made to be with the body you've been given here on earth. Like, this is the body that you got, this is the body you have. So what does living life mean to you? Because I feel like when
Yes.
someone's reading and
Yeah.
watching shows, podcasts, it's always, it goes to this crazy, let me like live my life. And it's like, no, we're not saying go jump off a cliff, we're not saying go skydiving, we're not saying go
Right.
accomplish your bucket list. I mean, you can if that's what living
But if
life
that's you,
is.
yeah, if that's you, do you.
But then there's also that other scale of like, you know, that other side of living where it's just like being joyful, allowing yourself to experience joy when you've told yourself for a long time that you can't experience joy, you shouldn't be loved, or you can't accept this. And it's like, that's not living life either. And so what does living life mean to each viewer in your life? I think I wanted to share that too as you were sharing this to make sure we're
And so you've broken it down really well. What we're saying is there's life and then there's living, right? We have life. Now, how are we choosing to live it?
good. Yeah, that's good.
Right. And
Life is being.
Exactly.
Got it.
Right. And what we're saying is that part's done for us. Now, the experiences or the situations and circumstances that we have in life vary for people, right?
Yes.
You know, and it becomes really difficult because what happens is we look at somebody else's life and go, well, they got it easier, right? Or they've never had to go through what I've gone through.
Yep.
Or they've never had to experience loss or pain in this way. The question I would pose is, how has that benefited your ability to live? And what I want us to think about is we've been given life. You know, often we can't dictate the circumstances in that life.
Right.
You know, I grew up dealing with challenges and adversities in my own life. We all have had adversities in our lives. I think about how did I get here? How did I choose to live in such a way that has me here in this moment? And how would I choose to continue to live to be able to move my life experiences beyond this moment? And that's what everybody has an opportunity to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I think it really starts with creating, if you don't already have it, finding a way to create your own personal appreciation for your life, your own personal appreciation for your life. I had a NFL player we'd worked with who, in hearing his story, he had multiple consecutive season-ending injuries over consecutive years, like 5+ years. And when he would think about it, he would think about all of the lost opportunities he had. And I remember when he was telling it to me, I was amazed. I was like, you did what? And he was like, what do you mean? And then I said, you did what? He's like, no, I didn't do. Like I had his, and I was like, no. So you made it back onto an NFL team after season-ending injuries for 5 or 6 consecutive years? That level of resilience,
right,
is phenomenal. And he was like, I've never once looked at my situation as an expression of resilience until you just said that to me. And it changed his perspective from being a, unfortunate, injured athlete to being someone that had a rare level, elite level of resilience that most had never expressed before. So it took his life and it reframed his living. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
And that's the part where I think if we could find a way to do that, if we could find a way first to appreciate, being here is already done. And there's a lot of work that's continuing to be done for you to be here.
A major feat.
It's like,
that's a win.
Yeah, like it's the internal workings, the movie Inside Out is it's a hilarious.
It's great.
But it gives you kind of a snapshot
of how much work and effort they're putting in to keep you just moving, making choices.
Yes. It's a hilarious, practical version of what it takes internally
to keep you up,
to just
wake up in the
get
morning.
You going in the morning, right?
Literally waking up.
Yeah, like there's a lot of work being done for you to be here and to stay being here. Mm-hmm. How are we appreciating that? When we understand that, like your mind, your body, your soul, your energy is saying, we're here for you. And we're keeping you here because we expect you to go do some things. Right?
Put all this work in for what?
Your being is trying to tell you that we got you. Now let's go do something.
Right. Let's go do something. Put me up to something.
Exactly. But it I think it really starts with creating a newfound or reframed appreciation that wherever you are, you're here. And if you're here, there's a lot of work being done for you to be here. So now let's go do something with that, because that's what we were made for. We were made for that intentional part of existing, that living, that doing, right? I love to read about individuals who invented or created or broke barriers or explored life in a unique way. Talking to my kids, hearing their ideas about the future, right? Mm-hmm. Seeing technologies advance. I love it because that's humans doing what humans were made to do.
Create.
To live. Right? And we get to see the expressions of that. Yeah. And so I think this is a great conversation to start with, but for people to think about, like, where are you now, right? Are you just being, or are you living, right? And the earlier conversation you were bringing about just being, that's a part of the living piece. That's the
kind of like
that's the balancing processing of, you know what I mean?
Balancing.
That's the break of living.
That's still a real thing.
There's still a thing.
Still a need.
Yeah.
Just be.
But that should not be our existence.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Our life experience should not just be being. It's the in-between of life.
Yeah.
Where the being happens. I mean, I know this is awesome, and you've given a great kind of practical way of, like, one, understanding, appreciating, and or reframing our way of looking at what existence really means and what being is. And I mean, and it's a great foundation conversation for where we're going, because in order to really understand and follow along with where we're going in regards to being human, if we're not doing the work to actually understand and appreciate what our bodies, think about Inside Out movie, what our bodies are doing every day for us to just be, it's not going to create that transformation that, this podcast is here to kind of like guide you in. So it's a great first conversation. It's a funny one too. I'm actually proud of you. This is a good topic.
See?
I liked it.
See?
Yeah. You did a good job.
I appreciate that.
I was a little concerned.
I know you were.
I was like, I don't know what homeostasis means. I have no clue about biology. I don't want to do it.
That's unlike me.
I don't.
In those, I was like, what are we talking about? Why are we talking about this?
Literally. How does this apply? It's like, oh, it does.
Yeah.
But I will say something that you do always, and it's a part of Nestry too, just the foundation of Nestry is, and I'll kind of end it here, but like the reframing, like there's been so many times you shared something with me where I've never heard that before, and then it like changed the way I process my experience. But like that's something that I feel like you've been gifted in, where like someone can be absolutely like torn to shreds about something. Like I literally am thinking about specific examples that I can't share, but I'm like, oh, don't say that. But like, there've been so many times where I'm like, oh wow, like, why did we see it that way? That's such a refreshing way of seeing it. Like, oh, I'm good. Like, I don't need to be, living in shame or guilt or whatever it is. And so, but that's also like the foundation of what framing and reframing is, which is a massive part of Nestry. And it's just it just makes sense as to how you're CEO of the company, how you actually made this a thing, because it's like your gift is like reframing experiences to help people move forward. But like, this conversation just shows why it's a superpower for you, for sure.
No, I appreciate that. I mean, that's why we came up with this idea, this conversation around Better Mind, was for that whole reason. Is I believe there's ways of thinking differently that can add so much value to who we are, how we process and experience the world, just from a shift in thinking.
Right.
Right? Because new context does so much miraculous domino effects to the mind. You give it a new context and it starts to literally reanalyze reality. 100%. Yeah, absolutely. And so I love that we can have conversations that give people just a little different thought, which can create a whole shift in reality. And so, no, I think this conversation is great in that way. And thank you for the belief after the fact.
Yeah. I'm like, knowing you, there's no way you're going to sit up here and talk about biology. So I was like, I'm not too concerned because I know you're not going to have anyone sit and listen. You don't even want to
exactly.
Listen.
Yes.
So I was like, there's got to be some like real like encouraging, uplifting, easy to process stuff in there. So I was like, I think we'll be fine.
Yeah. I mean, when you know that there's a lot of work that's been done for you to get to a place, you appreciate it, right? If parents worked hard to provide you an education, right? If coaches or individuals have helped you, you become appreciative of that and you want to reward them for that, right? I want us to think that way about our life. Like, our being is doing a lot of work for us just to be here. Let's appreciate that. Let's not let that go unappreciated.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We woke up this morning. That took a lot of work.
Took a lot of juice.
That took a lot. How do we show that appreciation? How do we go live today for the appreciation of life?
That's great.
And so I'm just looking forward to us having this conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we hope that you were taking notes. We kind of talked about how to practically, go through this process of appreciating our bodies and what they're doing so that then we can kind of set ourselves up to like understand what we'll be talking about in the next 3 episodes. This is a teaching conversation. It's like kind of also like a revamping of thought conversation. So definitely, we'd say come curious, leave reframed, because we really want you to like set your mind up to know like, hey, like I'm coming to hear something I haven't heard before. And in order for me to do that, my heart needs to be open, my mind needs to be open so that I can leave reframed about what my mind once was thinking about a topic or a situation. So we're really excited for the next episode, the next podcast. And thanks for the great conversation, Tommy.
Likewise.
Setting you guys up for a good holiday season and beyond. We should call it Holidays and Beyond.
No. But thank you for that. Thank you for that recommendation.
No, thank you. Thank you for believing in me.
Always.
Okay. Well, we'll see you next time, guys.